Hello, my writing pals and my reading pals. It's me, your girl Xanna, and today I am bringing you 10 tips to improve your queries as someone who's only ever gotten rejections. Before we get into the tips, I'm sure that you might have a couple of questions if you know me. The first thing you might be asking is, Xanna, aren't you a self-published author? To that I say, yeah, I am. I have self-published a collection of short stories and poems titled Through the Violet Redwoods. I also own an editing/publishing company of sorts, but we deal with anthologies, not novels or things like that. I haven't quite decided if I want to self-publish my own novels or if I want to try traditionally publishing my novels still. It's something I haven't quite gotten to yet. The next question you're probably asking yourself is, Xanna, it's the middle of January. Why are your Christmas decorations still up? And to that I say, they make me happy. Okay? Let me alone. I love them. I worked hard on this. Let me enjoy things. So without further ado, let's get into the first tip. Tip number 1 is to do research on the agents that you're querying. You need to make sure that the agents that you're querying are a good fit both for your story and for you personally. You don't necessarily want to be querying an agent who you already kind of feel like there might be a little bit of clashing with, or if during a call with them you notice your personalities aren't quite melding, probably wouldn't be a good idea to go on and kind of like sign with that agent of sorts. You also need to make sure that this agent is a good fit for your story by looking at their Twitter, looking at their manuscript wish list, looking at the books that they've previously sold. Does your book kind of fit in with those? Are your books too similar or dissimilar to their books? And is your book even something that they would even be interested in? These are things that you have to do before you even consider sending an agent a query. Well, I guess you're considering them already. These are the things that you have to do before you actually send said query. Tip number 2, make sure this agent is open to queries. You can find this out usually on their Twitter or on their website. If you're querying an agent when they're closed to queries, 1, that's like an automatic rejection, and 2, when they open back up, they're gonna see that you sent them a query when they said that they were closed, which kind of shows that you aren't actually paying attention to them, that you're just kind of shotgunning a query at them, and that doesn't necessarily feel too good and will probably still just lead to an automatic rejection. If it's a dream agent of yours and they aren't open, maybe consider taking this time to do a couple more revisions or query to some other agents first. Tip number 3 is to check that specific agent's querying format. Agents have different preferences for how they receive queries. Some agents will receive a query through an online form, others want you to send it through an email. And even within the email, there are still so many different ways that an agent could want to receive a query. An agent could want the first 5 pages and a full synopsis, including spoilers. An agent could want 10 pages and just a pitch or a slug line. Make sure you're paying attention to how an agent wants to receive queries. If you're just taking one standard query that you've put together and shotgunning it to everyone, chances are that several of those agents aren't going to want a query in that format. It's not going to have the information that they want, and it's going to lead to an automatic rejection because you aren't paying attention. Tip number 4, don't query a first draft. I don't know how many times that people on the internet are going to say to not do this, and I don't know how many times people on the internet are going to continue doing this. Edit your work. You want to prove to this agent that not only can you write a story, but that you have the capabilities of editing it and polishing it yourself. Because yes, your book, if signed by a traditional publishing house, is probably going to go through several rounds of editing and revisions. But that doesn't mean that you're free from doing that work. You have to show that you can craft a story and clean it up. It's part of writing a book. You have to be able to edit your own work. And if needed, you can ask a professional for some help. But really, with traditional publishing, you should be able to do a lot of that yourself. Tip number 5 I have for you is to find good story comps. Comps means comparable, which means kind of similar to. You want a good list of books, maybe even TV shows, movies, or even video games that are comparable, similar to your book. This helps an agent know what kind of style to expect from your story. It lets them know kind of how they could market it, and if the market is even ready for a book like that. There are tons of websites out there where it kind of helps you find good comps. I'm not sure of them off the top of my head. I know that for Down the Fox Path, I comped Little Red Riding Hood and The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. Those were my comps for it because it's kind of a dark fantasy Red Riding Hood-ish story. My current novel that I'm working on, Down with the Prince, I don't have my comps done yet because I don't have the book done yet. That's fine though, but comps are something that you should be thinking about as you're querying. Before you query, there are going to be agents who are going to ask you for a list of comps. You need to have that ready. It's kind of scary because you want your story to stand out, but you also need to know that it's going to fit in the market. One good tip I've also heard is to not use huge, big names for comps for your titles. So you don't necessarily want to use like A Court of Thorns and Roses or Shadow and Bone or Harry Potter or The Hunger Games. You kind of want maybe kind of top tier-ish list, but also like some mid-list titles for your comps. You want them to be books that are kind of well known, that have done well, that have been received well, and that actually fit the style of your book. Don't lie about your comps. Doesn't mean your writing style has to be the same, doesn't mean the plot has to be the same. They're just similar books so that the agent has an idea of what they're getting into. Tip number 6, query in batches. So this is a tip I've heard from a handful of people here on the internet, and this is a tip that I used myself and I found it pretty useful. And that is to come up with a good list of agents that you want to query and query them in chunks. So you don't query the entire list all at once because you might get some feedback from a query rejection that helps improve your query so that maybe your next query does a little bit better with an agent. Querying in batches also ensures that if you have a bunch of agents that really like your book, you aren't having to reject every single one of them in turn of accepting one offer. So it saves you a little bit of time, it saves those agents a little bit of time. It's just a time saver overall. It doesn't seem like it's a time saver, but trust me, it is. Tip number 7. Don't query an agent if you're not excited about them. Don't query an agent if you don't think that you'd actually want to work with them. Don't query an agent just to practice querying. These are basic courtesy things. If you're not wanting to work with someone, why would you send them their query? Why would you possibly give them the idea of, oh, hey, I can acquire this book if you were never planning on ever signing with them? It's just kind of rude. And it kind of wastes your time and their time. So a good querying tip is, again, do research about the agents and only query agents that you actually want to work with. Because that's kind of pointless to end up in a working relationship with someone that you don't even want to work with. Think about it here. Tip number 8. Query the agents in the correct category. If an agent that you're interested in only works with adult novels, do not query them with a middle grade fiction book. If you're looking to query your YA romance novel, don't query an agent that only deals with picture books. Make sure that the agents that you're querying to work in the category that you're actually working in. It doesn't matter if they're a huge top shot agent. If they aren't working in the category that you're writing, you're not a good fit. On that note, also make sure that you're querying agents in the right genre. If you're querying an agent who only works in horror and thriller books, you shouldn't give them your YA romance. It just doesn't make sense. It's gonna be a rejection. It doesn't matter how good the agent is. If they don't work with what you're writing, don't query them. That kind of goes into making sure that they're a good fit for you. It's a courtesy thing. Don't be querying agents just because they're really good and they don't work with your stuff. I'm just repeating myself over and over again. Don't do it. Tip number 9. Get specific with your query and your pitch. Make sure that your query and your pitch are unique and specific to your book. You don't want a bland pitch that just sounds like you pulled it off of a template form and you pasted it and, oh, that was good enough. But make sure that you're not stretching the truth out either. You want to be specific to your story and you want to be honest with what your story has. Let them know the really interesting points about your story. Get the agent excited about your story with your pitch, with your synopsis. A good pitch pulls an agent in to wanting to read your first chapter because your query is going to include some amount of your first chapter. The first 5 pages, the first 10 pages, the first 20 pages of your manuscript. Always start with the first chapter, not just the good bits. You want them to be interested in your story, and you also want that first chapter to continue that intrigue. You don't have to drop them down into the middle of some bombastic action to open up chapter 1, but it does have to be interesting, and it does have to kind of fit your pitch of what you've given. Give your pitch some flavor and excitement. Get the agent excited about it. One good tip that I have along with this, kind of like a 9.5, is to write out several different versions of a pitch and practice reading them to some friends and family who really like reading. Have them help you figure out what works in each pitch so that you can kind of meld it together. And then from there, you can even ask friends and family who don't enjoy reading. You can read them those pitches and be like, hey, which one of these was the most intriguing to you? Which one of these would have actually made you pick up a book and want to either read the full synopsis or start reading the first chapter, possibly even buying the book? Which one makes you the most excited? Having multiple options gets your brain thinking about the different ways that you can market your story and just the different ways that you can do your pitch so that you're not just filling out a template of a pitch and then calling it good. And my final tip, tip number 10, is to personalize your query. Make sure that you're keeping your query still within the format of what this agent wants, but give it a little bit of personalization. Instead of just writing Dear Agent on it, you can put Hello Miss Smith, Hello Mr. Jones. If you don't know an agent's title, Miss, Mrs., Mr., all of the other titles that are out there, you can use first and last name. Usually you should be able to kind of find some kind of indicator on Twitter or on their website, but if it isn't there, a first and last name is usually fine. When querying a female agent, it's more professional to use Miss, MS, and not Ms, MISS. MISS is usually reserved for young girls. Miss is just a little bit more professional, a bit more courteous as well. Add in a bit of a personal note that you learned about them maybe on their website or their Twitter. This goes into, again, researching your agents. I once queried an agent who had 2 dogs and lived in an area that had just gotten a lot of snow. So in the ending of my kind of personal bio-ish area before getting into the bulk of the query, I wished her warm wishes for her and her dogs. You don't have to go crazy overboard, super buddy, chummy with these personalization bits of your query, but just showing that you have looked into this agent and that you are interested in them as a person and that you're treating them like a person and not just an avenue for you to possibly get a really good advance and, you know, lots of money and things like that. Open up this start of a professional relationship very professionally. Give them the proof that you see them as a person. So those are my 10 tips for improving your query. Which one of these tips was your favorite? Which one was the most maybe insightful? Which one are you just tired of hearing over and over and over again? Because I'm sure that some of my tips are tips that other people have mentioned as well. Again, let me know all of that in a comment down below. Let me know where you are in your querying journey. Are you querying? Are you self-publishing? Were these querying tips that you wish you would have known at the start of your querying journey, but you have an agent now, so it doesn't really matter? I look forward to hearing all of your thoughts in the comments down below, or we can just chat about it. We can also chat and have fun on all of my socials. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all at XannasBooks. You can find me here on YouTube about once a week talking about fun, bookish, and writing-related things. I also have an editing service, Nightshade Publishing, where I can help you edit your books, from editorial assessments, going through the concept of your story and starting to put it together, to the final proof and line edits and all of those good things. I do it all, and I have a team of great writers and editors with me to help you improve your stories. Maybe I should start opening up like a querying advisory, like a pitch thing, like helping people with that. Maybe that'd be really fun. But anyways, I'll see you guys sometime next week with another fun video about reading or writing related things, because that's what I do here. I'm a reader, I'm a writer, and now I'm gonna go drink a cup of tea because it's cold, so bye!